This isn't about some malevolent entity lurking in the darkness. It's about the unexplored territories of your own psyche. We often hide parts of ourselves, our insecurities, our desires, our less than perfect tendencies, and those hidden aspects become part of this shadow self. Ignoring it is like building a house on a shaky foundation. Eventually, it all comes tumbling down. The key isn't to eliminate the shadow, but to integrate it, to understand its motivations and desires. It's about embracing the whole of yourself, the messy, complicated, wonderful you. Picture this. You're at a party, pretending to enjoy the conversation, secretly plotting your escape. You're smiling politely, nodding at appropriate intervals while your inner monologue screams, "I need a nap." And maybe a large whiskey. That internal conflict? That's your ego wrestling with something deeper, your shadow self. It's the silent observer, the critic in the back of your mind, and sometimes, the mischievous instigator of your less than stellar decisions. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who believed dreams were essentially cryptic postcards from the subconscious, said we all possess a hidden, darker side. It's not inherently evil, simply unacknowledged. Consider it the part of you society deems unacceptable, the desires you repress, the things you'd never admit, even to your therapist, who, let's be honest, has likely heard it all. This shadow self influences your behavior more than you realize, often sabotaging your best-laid plans. Ignoring it is like navigating with a blindfold. You're bound to crash and burn, often into a pile of half-eaten comfort food. Essentially, your shadow self is why you accidentally buy that extra-large pizza when you vowed to be healthy. It's the ultimate party pooper of your self-improvement goals. It whispers sweet nothings of indulgence while your conscious mind makes virtuous plans. It's why your resolutions usually last until Tuesday. Essentially, your shadow self is why you accidentally buy that extra-large pizza when you swore you'd be healthy. It's the silent saboteur, the unseen hand steering you toward chocolate cake even when your brain screams for a kale smoothie. It's why your carefully crafted to-do list often ends up buried under unread emails and half-finished projects. It's that inner voice, often disguised as practicality or self-care, subtly undermining your best intentions. Think of it like this. You're trying to drive a car, but your shadow self is secretly messing with the steering wheel, subtly nudging you toward the ditch. It's not always malicious, sometimes it's just unaware. It's a part of you that hasn't been integrated, a piece of the puzzle left out. But the more you ignore it, the more erratic your driving becomes, and the more likely you are to end up in a metaphorical ditch, filled with regret and half-eaten tubs of ice cream. It's not about fighting your shadow self, it's about understanding it, befriending it, and learning to drive together. Because let's face it, nobody wants to be the driver who constantly crashes and burns, especially when there's perfectly good pizza involved. Imagine your psyche as an iceberg. The tip, gleaming in the sun, is your conscious self. The part you present to the world. All polished and presentable, isn't it? But lurking beneath the surface, a vast, shadowy mass, lies your unconscious, your shadow self. It's the iceberg's submerged bulk, the part you rarely see. Yet, it dictates the direction of the whole thing. This hidden part isn't necessarily evil. It's more like a neglected attic full of forgotten toys and half-finished projects. It's filled with repressed emotions, unacknowledged desires, and instincts society deems inappropriate. It's a collection of all the shouldn'ts and couldn'ts you've accumulated over the years. It's the reason you sometimes find yourself inexplicably drawn to situations that feel oddly familiar, even if they're self-destructive. It's that nagging feeling that something isn't quite right, even when everything seems perfect on the surface. It's the reason your gut feeling sometimes screams danger, even when your logical brain says, everything is fine. It's the part of you that secretly loves cheesy reality TV, even though you pretend to be above such things. Think of it as your internal gremlin, constantly whispering counterproductive advice in your ear. It's not inherently bad, it's just unintegrated. It's a powerful force, shaping your choices and actions in ways you may not even realize. Ignoring it is like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. Sooner or later, the whole thing will come crashing down. But by acknowledging it, by understanding its motivations and desires, you can build a stronger, more stable structure. You begin to see the whole picture, not just the tip of the iceberg. And that, my friend, is where the real power lies. Because once you've acknowledged your gremlin, you can start negotiating with it. You can start to understand why it does what it does, and together, you can navigate the world with a little more grace and a lot less crashing. So, back to that party. Remember the internal struggle? The part of you that desperately wanted to bolt, while another part faked a smile and made small talk? That's your ego, the conscious you, battling your shadow self. It's a constant tug of war, a silent negotiation between who you think you are and who you actually are. Your shadow self is the mischievous imp who whispers doubts and insecurities, the one who makes you second-guess yourself and sometimes even sabotage your own success. It's the voice that says, "You're not good enough," even when you're acing your job. It's the reason you sometimes make choices that seem utterly irrational, choices you immediately regret. It's that little voice of self-doubt, always lurking in the background, ready to pounce at any moment of weakness. It's the part of you that's secretly afraid of failure, even though you outwardly project confidence. It's like having a tiny, grumpy roommate who secretly controls the thermostat. You might think you're in charge, but your roommate subtly influences your comfort level, often without your knowledge. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Your shadow self isn't some malevolent entity. It's a repository of your experiences, both good and bad, that haven't been fully integrated into your conscious self. It's the part of you that needs to be understood, not demonized. Ignoring it only strengthens its grip. It's a messy, chaotic collection of emotions, memories, and instincts that your conscious mind has deemed too uncomfortable to acknowledge. Think of it like a cluttered attic, full of forgotten treasures and dusty old junk. You might not want to go up there, but ignoring it doesn't make it go away. In fact, it tends to get messier and more prone to spontaneous combustion. The beauty of Jung's concept is that it's not about eradicating your shadow self. It's about understanding, accepting, and integrating it into your conscious awareness. It's about bringing light into the darkness, not banishing the darkness altogether. It's like learning to compost your emotional waste, turning what seems negative into something nourishing. You're not trying to get rid of the bad parts. You're learning to transform them. Think of it as upgrading your emotional operating system. This process isn't always easy or pretty. It requires introspection, honesty, and a willingness to confront aspects of yourself that you might find uncomfortable or even frightening. But the rewards are immense. By understanding your shadow, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself, your motivations, and your behaviors. You become more self-aware, more authentic, and ultimately, more whole. You begin to understand those seemingly irrational choices, unexpected outbursts, and moments of self-sabotage. You begin to see the patterns, recurring themes, and underlying needs driving your actions. And that, my friend, is incredibly empowering. It's about embracing the complexity of who you are, the messy, beautiful, sometimes terrifying totality of your being. It's about recognizing that the parts of you that you find most shameful or unacceptable are often the most revealing. They hold the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of yourself. Think of it like this: your conscious mind is the captain of a ship, diligently charting a course toward a desired destination. But the shadow self is the ocean's currents, the unpredictable winds, the hidden reefs, forces that can either propel you forward or send you crashing against the rocks. Ignoring the currents is foolish. Learning to navigate them is mastery. It's about understanding that the ocean, with all its unpredictable nature, is as much a part of the journey as the ship itself. Integrating your shadow isn't about becoming perfect, it's about becoming more complete. It's about accepting the full spectrum of your human experience, with all its flaws and imperfections. It's about recognizing that your darkness isn't something to be feared, but something to be understood and, ultimately, embraced. After all, the most interesting stories are often those with the most compelling villains. And who knows, maybe your shadow self is just waiting for its chance to shine. Maybe it's the secret ingredient to your greatest success. Or maybe it just wants a really good therapist. Integrating your shadow isn't about erasing the darker parts of yourself, it's about understanding them. It's about acknowledging those hidden desires, those repressed emotions, those aspects of your personality that you'd rather not confront. These aren't necessarily bad things. They're simply parts of you that haven't been integrated into your conscious awareness. They're like those dusty boxes in the attic, full of forgotten memories, half-finished projects, and maybe even a few embarrassing childhood photos. Think of your shadow self as a mischievous gremlin living in your subconscious. It whispers suggestions, pulls strings, and occasionally sabotages your carefully laid plans, all for reasons you may not fully understand. It's not inherently malicious, it's just unintegrated. Untamed. Ignoring this gremlin is like trying to assemble IKEA furniture without instructions. It might eventually come together. But it will likely be a frustrating, and possibly structurally unsound, process. The key is to understand the gremlin's motivations, to engage with it, and to bring it into the light of your conscious awareness. Only then can you work with it rather than against it. It's not about banishing the gremlin. It's about making it a productive member of your inner team, or at least, a less disruptive roommate. Maybe you can even teach it to fold laundry. Imagine your psyche as an iceberg, a colossal structure mostly hidden beneath the surface of the sea. The tip, gleaming in the sunlight, represents your conscious self, the thoughts, feelings, and actions you are aware of. That's the you who goes to work, pays bills, and tries, mostly unsuccessfully, to stick to a healthy diet. But beneath the waves, lurking in the frigid depths, lies the vast, unseen bulk of your shadow self. This submerged mass is far larger than the visible tip, a powerful force shaping your behavior in ways you might not even suspect. It is filled with repressed emotions, forgotten memories, and instincts you have suppressed. Think of it as the stuff you don't want to deal with, the parts of yourself that feel too dark, too shameful, or too inconvenient to acknowledge. It's the emotional equivalent of that overflowing junk drawer in your kitchen, a chaotic mess of half-formed ideas, unresolved conflicts, and the occasional rogue sock. This isn't about some evil twin lurking within. It's about the unacknowledged aspects of your personality. These hidden parts aren't inherently bad, they're just untamed. Like a wild Mustang, they need to be understood and channeled, not ignored or suppressed. Ignoring them is like trying to steer a car with a broken steering wheel. You might get somewhere. But the journey will be bumpy, unpredictable, and potentially disastrous. The goal isn't to eliminate the shadow, but to integrate it, bringing it into the light of your conscious awareness. Only then can you harness its power and use it to your advantage. It's a process of self-discovery, not self-destruction. The more you ignore the iceberg's submerged mass, the more it pushes against your conscious self, creating internal pressure and potentially leading to unexpected outbursts or self-sabotaging behaviors. Think of it as a pressure cooker. If you don't release the steam, deal with your shadow, the whole thing could explode. It's not about suddenly becoming a master of self-control overnight. It's a gradual process of understanding and acceptance. This isn't about some dramatic, Hollywood-style confrontation with your inner demons. It's more like a slow, steady excavation. You're not battling a monster. You're piecing together a puzzle, one shadowy piece at a time. Each revelation, each bit of self-understanding brings you closer to a more complete and authentic self. It's about acknowledging the messy, complicated reality of who you are, not striving for some idealized, flawless version. After all, perfection is boring, and slightly flawed is far more interesting. And let's be honest, a little chaos keeps life exciting. Jung believed that integrating your shadow brings wholeness and authenticity. It's about accepting the good and the bad, the light and the darkness within. Think of it like a delicious, slightly spicy dish. You wouldn't want it bland, would you? A little spice, that shadow, adds depth and complexity. Ignoring it leaves you with a one-note existence, flavorless and ultimately unsatisfying. Embracing your shadow isn't about becoming a villain, it's about becoming more human. It's about accepting the parts of yourself you might normally hide, the flaws and imperfections that make you uniquely you. It's about understanding that those bad parts are often just misunderstood energy, potent, creative energy, if you know how to harness it. It's like discovering a hidden talent, a secret superpower you never knew you possessed. Suddenly, those seemingly random acts of self-sabotage might start to make sense. They're not random, they're your shadow trying to communicate. It's a language you've yet to learn. The journey into the shadow is a journey of self-discovery. It's about uncovering the buried treasures, the hidden strengths, the untapped potential that lies dormant within the depths of your subconscious. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of your being, the light and the dark, the beautiful and the broken. It's not always pretty, but it's always authentic. And authenticity, my friend, is the most beautiful thing of all. It's the spice of life, the secret ingredient to a truly fulfilling existence. And, let's face it, it's way more interesting than bland perfection. Learning this language is key to unlocking a deeper understanding of yourself. The journey into the shadow is a journey of self-discovery. It's about uncovering buried treasures, hidden strengths, and untapped potential lying dormant within the depths of your subconscious. It's about acknowledging the full spectrum of your being, the light and the dark, the beautiful and the broken. It's not always pretty. But it's always authentic. And authenticity, my friend, is the most beautiful thing of all. It's the spice of life, the secret ingredient to a truly fulfilling existence, and, let's face it, far more interesting than bland perfection. Think of it as finally understanding the instruction manual for your own incredibly complex, sometimes self-destructive, but ultimately fascinating internal operating system. You're not just a collection of parts. You're a masterpiece in progress, complete with all the glorious imperfections that make a masterpiece truly unforgettable. Jung believed integrating your shadow brings wholeness and authenticity. It's not about erasing the darkness, but about bringing it into the light, understanding its motivations, and learning to work with it, not against it. Think of it this way. You wouldn't try to erase the shadows in a painting, would you? They're essential to the depth and contrast, and to the overall impact of the piece. Your shadow self is the same. It adds depth, complexity, and a certain je ne sais quoi to your existence. It's part of what makes you, you. After all, isn't a little self-sabotage just a more theatrical form of self-care? A way to remind yourself that you're not a robot, that you're allowed to be messy, unpredictable, and gloriously imperfect. Embrace the absurdity, the quirks, and the unexpected detours. They're all part of the journey, and honestly, they make the story much more interesting. You might even find yourself laughing along the way. The real punchline? You're not broken. You're beautifully, wonderfully, hilariously complex. And that, my friend, is something to celebrate. It's a masterpiece of self-expression, even if it's a masterpiece with a few smudged paint strokes and a rogue splash of existential angst. Now, go forth and create some glorious, slightly chaotic art. What's one shadow aspect of yourself you're willing to explore, even just a little? Let's discuss. Maybe it's that competitive streak you bury under layers of team player politeness, or that secret yearning for a life less ordinary. Don't worry, I won't judge. We're all a little messy, a little broken, and a whole lot more interesting than we let on. Think of it this way. Your shadow self is like that embarrassing playlist you secretly love, guilty pleasures and all. It's the soundtrack to your soul, complete with cheesy 1980s power ballads and angsty teenage anthems. It's not about erasing those songs. It's about appreciating the full range of your musical tastes. The beauty of integrating your shadow isn't about becoming a saint. It's about becoming a whole, more authentic version of yourself. It's about accepting the complexities, contradictions, and glorious messiness of being human. It's about acknowledging that light and dark are not separate entities, but two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. In fact, the darkness often illuminates the brilliance of the light. It's about finding balance and harmony between the shadow and the light. It's about becoming the conductor of your own orchestra. Even if some instruments are a bit off-key, the symphony of your life will still be breathtaking. What are you waiting for? Let's start conducting. The journey of self-discovery is rarely a straight line. It's more like a winding road through a dense forest, filled with unexpected detours and breathtaking vistas. Sometimes, you stumble upon hidden paths you never knew existed, revealing aspects of yourself you'd carefully tucked away. This isn't about becoming a perfect, polished version of yourself. That's a myth, a societal expectation we've all been conditioned to chase. It's about embracing the beautiful chaos, the inherent imperfections, the glorious messiness that makes you uniquely you. Remember, your emotional compass points north wherever you are currently pointing. It's a work in progress, constantly recalibrating. It's about celebrating the full spectrum of your being, the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the triumphs and the failures. Think of your shadow self as a mischievous imp, a playful sprite with a penchant for drama. It is not inherently evil, it is simply misunderstood, a part of you that needs to be acknowledged, understood, and integrated. Ignoring it is like building a house on a cracked foundation. Sooner or later, the whole thing will come tumbling down. So, let's build a solid, stable foundation. Let's learn to embrace our inner imp and let the dance of light and shadow begin. What is one small step you can take today to better understand your shadow self? What do you think? Anyone with similar experiences, please comment below and check out the full video via the link below.